Today I'm here to answer one of the most common questions from both home sellers and home buyers, and that is, how much negotiation can I expect? And to help me answer that, I'm going to dive in the first half of 2023 home sales data for our area. We'll look at some numbers and compare actual sale prices versus list prices, because at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. Now, I should mention that even though our market may not be as crazy as a year ago, we're still in a seller's market, and that certainly plays a part in the amount of negotiations you can expect. In my shorter videos where I share stats and info on prices, I tend to hone in on Moncton, Dieppe, and Riverview only, since that's where I conduct most of my business. But for the sake of this video, I thought I'd go a little wider and look at the numbers for the entire region overseen by the Greater Moncton Real Estate Board. So from the center of Moncton, depending on which direction you're heading, you're looking at a radius that's roughly anything within an hour's drive to the north or south, 45 minutes to the west, and everything to the east. So let's get right into the numbers. Between January 1st and June 30th, 2023, a total of 1,218 detached and semi-detached homes were sold and closed in our area. Out of these sales, 309 homes sold over asking, 133 of them sold at asking, and 776 of them sold below asking. Let's start with homes that sold over asking. And just a little note, when I say over asking, it doesn't mean they all went way over. It could be just a few $100s. There's different reasons buyers are willing to pay more than the list price. It could be because it's in a popular location or neighborhood, the house was listed at an attractive price, or it could be because of lack of inventory. Any of those will increase the number of potential buyers, and when that happens, it normally creates competition. And competition, of course, is a big factor in driving those prices up. So the first two that fetch the most over asking are a bit of an exception, so I won't waste too much time talking about them. The first one was a two-story home in the Pointe-du-Chien area of Shediac. It was on leased land, and it needed tons of work, basically a complete gut job, as you can see here. It was listed for $20,000 and it actually sold for $40,000 in 6 days. The next one, kind of the same idea. This one was a house on Wendell in Riverview. Same idea, basically just needed, tons of work. It was basically gutted, looked like some major damage at some point. So that one, it as well listed for $44,000 and it sold for $82,000 in 5 days. Now, if we get to the more conventional property sales, the one that went for the most over asking was a bungalow in Memramcook. It was listed for $149,900 and it sold for $208,000 in 14 days. And if we just have a look at this, it seemed like a pretty nice bungalow. Hardwood floors, an older kitchen, but everything looked pretty well maintained. And just to show you a few more examples so you get an idea of the bigger scope. Here's another one. This one was in Sackville. Looks like a 1.5 story, 1,600 square feet. It was listed for $169,500 and it sold for a little over $180,000. Again, older house, but overall very livable. Another one here. This one in Riverview, 2-story house. Same idea. Overall, not too bad. Could use a little bit of love, but livable. That one was listed for $175 and it sold for $205,500 in 9 days. And now if we move on, I'll show you a few of that sold at asking price, just so you can get an idea. Here's one in the north end of Moncton. This was a semi-detached, listed for $240, sold for $240. Looks like there'd been some work done, some renovations. This one here, another one in Moncton, in the East End. This would be a bungalow. Let's see here, fairly small, 971 square feet. See what this one looked like. A little small, but pretty nice. So yeah, listed for $259,900, sold for $259,900. And finally, I guess where you would consider the most negotiations happened, homes that sold under the asking price. Here's one in St. Anne de Kent, about, say, roughly 40 minutes north of Moncton, listed for $145,999, sold for $90,000. Let's have a look at this one. Steel roof. Okay, this is another one that needs a lot of work. And then we have one here in the center of Moncton on West Lane. 2-story. Older home, but based on the pictures, seemed to be in very good condition. That one was listed for $259,900, sold for $233,000 in just shy of 2 months. This one in Bucktouche. So this one listed for just under $1.2 million, sold for $1,025,000. This one was built in 2015, 3,278 square feet, right on the water. Wow, beautiful. Yeah, nice and modern, beautiful. So those were just a few examples I want to share with you, but let me try to answer that burning question: how much negotiation can I expect? By looking at the big picture. So out of the 309 residential properties that sold over asking, 11 of them sold for more than 20% over the asking price. 37 of them sold between 10 and 20% over asking, and the rest, 261 of them, sold within 10% of their asking price. So the majority of those that sold over asking did sell within 10% above the asking price. And out of the 776 that sold below asking, 21 sold at more than 20% below asking. 88 sold between 10 and 20% below asking, and 667 of them sold within 10% of asking. And I should mention that out of those 667, 456 of them actually sold within 5% of their price. As you can probably imagine, there's no one single straightforward answer. In real estate, no two deals are alike. Each property is different. Buyers have certain budgets, time frames, and expectations. Sellers have their own expectations, and they have plans for their next phase, whether it's upsizing or downsizing or relocating. They could be in a specific situation that might affect their willingness or ability to negotiate. And in saying that, negotiations are not always strictly about price. Let's say a seller is planning on building their dream house and it won't be ready to move in for several months. They've listed their current house for sale for $400,000 and they quickly receive 2 offers. Buyer A really likes the home and is aware they're in a multiple offer situation with another buyer, so they offer $420,000 to try to make their offer more attractive. But their circumstance demands a 30-day closing. Buyer B also loves the house, but their budget doesn't allow them to pay more than the asking price. They're currently in a month-to-month lease and they're not in any sort of a rush, so they can accommodate whatever closing date the seller needs. Now, you might think $20,000 is a lot of money, and of course it is, and there's no way the seller would let that go. And for some, that'll be true. They'll be like, for 20 grand, I'll throw my stuff in storage and I'll go stay in an Airbnb for a few months. But that's not always the case. That situation will cause some people a lot of stress and overwhelm, and the thought of it alone creates anxiety they just don't want to deal with. In that case, they'll sacrifice the $20,000 and go with the second offer. When it comes to it, whether you're a buyer or seller, discussing these next points with your realtor will help you gauge how much negotiation you can expect. Number one, where's the house located? Location, 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 right? This is absolutely a factor. If the house is in a very popular area, it will attract more buyers, meaning more competition and higher likelihood of selling at or close to the asking price, or even above. Number two, what have similar houses in the same area sold for? Instead of flying blindly, a great way to determine a realistic price on a home is what other similar homes in the area have sold for. If 3-bedroom, 2-story homes have been selling for $500,000 in the area over the last 6 months, unless something drastic has changed the market overnight, as a seller, you can't expect to get $600,000 for yours. And likewise, if you're a buyer trying to buy one listed for $500,000, it's not realistic to expect to get it for $400,000. Number three, are there any other offers on the table? This one's pretty straightforward. Competition drives prices up and will definitely have an impact on the level of negotiation. Number four, how long has the house been on the market? This is another big one. There's always exceptions, but I think it's fair to say that the longer a house has been on the market, the more negotiation you can expect. The chances of a house selling for 10% below asking price in the first few days are much less likely than after a few months. And number five, outside of price, is the offer full of conditions or very simple? This goes back to my example of the sellers building a new house and needing an extended closing period. Sure, most of the time, price is the biggest factor, but conditions play a part as well. I'm in no way advocating this next part, but we've all heard about buyers making offers without the condition of inspection. That's a good example. As a seller, would you go with an offer that's $5,000 higher, but with the condition of inspection? Or would you go with $5,000 less, but without the condition of inspection? Or what about someone who can show you they have the cash in the bank versus someone who needs to get financing? These are all things that can affect negotiations. So whether you're a seller evaluating one or more offers or a buyer thinking about what kind of offer you want to write up for a property, taking those 5 points into consideration will help you gauge how much negotiations you can expect. And like I said earlier, there's no one single straightforward answer, but just for fun, I did average out at what percentage of list price the 1,219 residential properties that sold in our area in the first 6 months of 2023. And that magic number is 97.98%. So let's put that into perspective with a few different price points. At that rate, a $250,000 house would have brought in $244,900. A $500,000 house would have brought in $489,900. A $750,000 list price would have brought in $734,850. And $1 million home would have brought in $979,800. Obviously, that's in no way set in stone, but hopefully it gives you a sense of what you could expect, especially in a non-competitive situation. I know I've shown this type of stuff to both buyers and sellers when talking realistic prices, and it's helped make sense of it all. I'd love to know, are you surprised by the numbers? Did you expect there was more room for negotiation? Less? Let me know in the comments. So that'll do it for me today. Hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did, feel free to like it, share it, and all that good stuff. If you have any questions or need guidance when it comes to buying or selling real estate in the Greater Moncton area, I'm always happy to chat, so feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.